Today we're taking a look at these college basketball matches, which are happening on Tuesday, February 21st, 2023, and giving you our team and total picks for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and make sure to watch it till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. Also check out our Patreon if you want to access our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. You will find the link in description and comments section below. One more thing before we start, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link in the description and comment section below. Villanova versus Xavier. I'm rolling with Xavier to win and cover the line on Tuesday night. Honestly, I anticipated the spread to be a bit higher in this game considering the home court advantage for the Musketeers. They've won their last 11 games in Cincinnati and are 8-6-1 ATS on their floor. As for this particular matchup, I think Villanova is going to have a tough time keeping up offensively in this game. Now, I'm expecting this game to go over the total, but Xavier should have enough offensive firepower to stretch the lead out and cover. The key stat here is the discrepancy in shooting percentage. Xavier is currently 4th in the country in field goal percentage, making 49.9% of their shots. On the flip side, Villanova is just 253rd at 43.5%. Adding that they're playing in a hostile road environment, and we should see Xavier cover. Look for the Musketeers to play fast in this game and try to put it away as quickly as possible. On top of boasting the 4th best shooting percentage in the country, 49.9%, are also 24th in tempo, using 71.6 possessions per 40 minutes. Xavier's not exactly running into the cream of the crop defense either. It's a Villanova squad that's 173rd in defensive shooting, 44.0%, and 99th in defensive efficiency, 101.4 points allowed per 100 possessions. I don't think it's outrageous to imagine Xavier putting up around 85 points on their home floor. If Villanova, whose strength is offense, can at least keep it somewhat of a game, we should fly over the total. Let's root for offense in this conference showdown. Give me over 148.5 points. Central Michigan versus Buffalo. Buffalo is a sizable favorite on Tuesday night, laying 11.5 points to Central Michigan. That number seems a bit high to me, so I'll back the Chippewas plus the points. While Central Michigan has clearly had its issues this season, let's not forget that the Bulls have dropped 3 straight games themselves. They're also just 1-5 ATS in their last 6 games overall, per OddsShark. For as bad as the Chippewas have been this year, they're only trailing Buffalo by 3.9% in terms of field goal percentage, 46.0% versus 42.1%. If Central Michigan, which has been relatively better on defense versus offense, can manage a few stops or force some turnovers, they should be able to keep this game within margin. Let's back the Chippewas plus 11.5 points. This is a very inflated total considering we're getting one of the worst offenses in the country in Central Michigan. They're 348th in adjusted offensive efficiency, scoring 94.1 points per 100 possessions. As for field goal percentage, the Chippewas are shooting just 42.1% from the field, 306th. So why is this total so high? Well, it's likely because Buffalo boasts the 4th fastest tempo in college hoops, using 73.4 possessions per 40 minutes. That's great and all, but it's a moot point if neither of the offenses are converting their shots. Just because Buffalo plays quick doesn't translate to them being effective. They're 181st in offensive efficiency, scoring 104.8 points per 100 possessions. They're also shooting 46.0% from the field, which is a pedestrian 101st in the country. This number is way too high in my opinion. Let's lock in the under 147 points. Baylor versus Kansas State. I'm going to side with Baylor to cover. These teams played one of the more entertaining games of the year last month when Kansas State took down the Bears 97-95. Both teams got off 25 3-point attempts, which is one of my keys to the game heading into Tuesday. Baylor loves to shoot threes, but they're going up against the nation's 10 best 3-point defense in Kansas State. The Bears are coming off a game where they buried 10 3-pointers at Kansas, and they sank 14 the game prior. Baylor will find a way to dictate offensively on Tuesdays. The Wildcats are a completely different team offensively than they were back on January 7th. Back then, they were on a 3-game stretch of scoring 82, 116, and 97 points. But now, Kansas State is struggling to exceed 65 points in a game. They've failed to cover in 4 of their last 6 games. Baylor has covered 4 of its last 5. If not for one awful half against Kansas, it would be 5 for 5. Give me Baylor -1 point. Despite the point total nearly hitting 200 in the first meeting between these teams, I'm taking the under on Tuesday. With a total of 31 fast break points, the game on January 7th was more like a track meet. But as described above, Kansas State is in a different mindset since then. The Wildcats are looking to contest shots and play solid defense, but their field goal percentages have cooled off as the conference season has progressed. The under has now hit in 4 of Kansas State's last 5 games. For Baylor, the under has hit in 6 of its last 9. Even though Knoll has the Wildcats pushing the tempo, Ken Palm ranks Baylor's adjusted tempo as just the 218th fastest in the nation. I expect them to slow it down just enough to keep it under the total points line. I'll take the under 145.5 points. Kent State versus Ball State. Kent State continues to impress with a conference-best 18-7-0 record against the spread. The Golden Flashes have covered in 4 straight games and already thumped Ball State once this year. Kent State was better in every facet of the game in its 86-65 win, and the Golden Flashes have the athleticism and physicality on the interior to match up well with Sparks. Kent State is 8-5 on the road, but considering 3 of those 5 losses came at Houston, Gonzaga, and Charleston, I'm not worried about a significant decline in production against Ball State this time just because they're away from home. By the way, the Golden Flashes lost those 3 roads to ranked teams by a combined total of just 14 points. Give me Kent State on the road against a team they already hammered. I'm expecting this outcome to be very close to the over/under line. Kent State plays a lot to the under, but the under has only hit for Ball State in 2 of its last 9 games. The Cardinals have been shooting well from the field and 3-point range since going just 19 of 52, 36% from the floor against Kent State last month. Despite that poor shooting performance, they still put up 65 points in that game. Sprinkle in a little more consistency from Ball State's offense and I'll take the over on Tuesday. Both teams are inside the top 175 according to Ken Palm's adjusted tempo, so the pace of play should be fast enough for the over to hit, even though Kent State's defense has held opponents under 70 points for 7 games in a row. I'll side with the under 141 points. Bowling Green versus Miami. In the first meeting back on January 21st, the Falcons ran out to a big first-half lead and cruised to the victory. Both teams shot very well in that game, Miami at 49.2% and Bowling Green at 56.3%. Statistically, the teams were fairly in everywhere else except rebounds, where the Falcons had a 33-25 advantage. That should be where they control this game as well if they are to do so on the road. I think there has to be some hunger in them not wanting to be in last place in the MAC. I also feel that Ayers is ready to explode after a few poor performances, and who better to do it against than the team he scored the most off of this season? The Falcons' bench will also be a bigger factor, as they were in the first meeting when they outscored the Redhawks, 27-13. Bowling Green is desperate to end their losing streak. Take the Falcons. The first time these two played this season they combined to score 156 points, going over a total of 155.5 by half a point. Over their last 5 games each they have a combined average of 144.8 points per game. Miami has scored 71 points or less in 6 of their last 8 games and Bowling Green has scored under 75 points on 5 occasions over their last 10 games. That's a combination that doesn't get us over, even though the last 5 matchups between these schools have gone that way. Both teams' scoring has been slightly down over their last 5 games and shooting has not been above average for both teams. Obviously, given their records, no one is going off by any means. I think that trickles into the first half of this game, which will be low scoring enough that the second half would have to be non-stop baskets. The under is 3-1 in the Redhawks' last 4 home games and 5-2 in their last 7 games overall. Take the under 158 points. VCU versus St. Joseph's. Taking VCU to cover their spread in this one for multiple reasons. The Rams are the better team overall, ranking better in both offensive and defensive efficiency according to Ken Palm. In terms of gameplay, expect the Rams to reap the benefits of St. Joseph's poor 3-point defense, where they allow opponents to shoot about 35% from 3. On the other hand, look for the Hawks to struggle on the offensive end, with it being hard for them to be consistent, given the Rams hold opponents to shooting about 40% from the field, where the Hawks already struggle, shooting about 43%. In terms of trends, when these teams face off, the favorite has covered in their past 4 consecutive meetings, and the road team has covered in 7 of their past 10 meetings, making me confident in taking VCU to cover their spread in this one. VCU minus 4 points. Taking the under in this one for multiple reasons. Neither team is denoted by their offensive success, but rather by their defensive success. Both teams average right around 70 points per game, which does put our total over. However, their past meetings indicate otherwise. The last time these teams faced off, the game went well under the total, going 10.5 points under the total set at 134.5. This line is not only lower than the line for this game but did not happen by accident. Neither team played out of character or was missing an abundant amount of shots, it was just purely each team's tempo and way they go about playing the game that lead to the under. In terms of trends, VCU has gone under in 6 of their past 7 games overall, and in 4 of their past 5 road games. Meanwhile, St. Joseph's has gone under in their past 4 consecutive games against a team with a winning record, and have gone under in their past 4 consecutive home games. For these reasons, I am confident in taking the under for this matchup. Under 137 points. Murray State versus Missouri State. In Murray State's earlier win over Missouri State, the difference was at the foul line. Murray State shot 21 of 24.875, while Missouri State shot 10 of 15.667. Murray State shoots .737 from the foul line, while Missouri State is at just .628. Neither team has good metrics against the spread. Missouri State is 5.61 ATS at home and Murray State is 4.91 ATS on the road. Missouri State is 0.72 ATS in its last 9 games and 0.41 ATS in its last 5 home games. Murray State is playing better lately and is 2.0 ATS in its last 2 games. Take Murray State plus 5.5 points. This could be an offensive game, but Murray State will have to control the tempo. The Racers averaged 10.14 fast break points per game, which entering Monday was 137th nationally, while Missouri State averages 8.57. The team scored 145 points in their first meeting and could equal that total. In addition, the over is 4-3 in Missouri State's last 7 games overall, while the over is 8-1 in Murray State's last 9 road games. Take over 136 points. Northern Illinois versus Ohio. You taking Ohio to cover their spread in this one for multiple reasons. Early line movement has already seen this line move to minus 10.5 and even minus 11, and it could continue to move leading into game time. Expect Ohio's offense to be prominent throughout the game, with the Bobcats going on multiple double-digit runs and hanging up more points than Northern Illinois is accustomed to. The Huskies' defense will not be of much help, as they allow opponents to score about 75 points per game, and allow those teams to shoot well above average from both the field and from 3. In addition, Ohio has a slight advantage on the board and from the free throw line, shooting a better percentage and allowing fewer free throws, while rebounds more on the offensive end than their counterpart. The Bobcats have covered in their past 4 consecutive games, and I do not see that trend ending here. Ohio minus 10 points. Taking over in this one for the same reasons I am taking Ohio to cover. We know what Ohio brings to the table, they are going to score fast and score a ton of points. What further encourages the over is what Northern Illinois brings to the table. They might not be as efficient, but the Huskies themselves average 71.7 points per game on the season, shooting at a solid clip, with them shooting 45.7% from the field and 35% from 3. Not numbers to slouch at in the slightest, and very well could be a determining factor in taking this over. Just for those skimming through the article who did not see Ohio's numbers, they are averaging 78.7 points per game, courtesy of shooting 46.3% from the field and 37.8% from 3. Lastly, another big factor is both teams' tempo, with both teams ranking in the upper percentile in terms of adjusted tempo according to KenPom. We can expect both teams to work quickly on both ends of the court, resulting in more possessions, in turn, more points. For these reasons, I am confident in taking over for this matchup. Over 149 points.